Welcome. You have opened the hatch with your listening device. Inside is another dimension, a dimension of weightlessness, a dimension of new sights, new sounds, new experiences, a dimension of total zen. You have entered the Deco Chamber.
Failure is not an option.
Here in the Deco Chamber, we are non denominational about diving. We will talk about everything from floating in the pool to technical diving and everything before, during, and after. Feel free to send us your stories, anecdotes, or anything you would like to hear discussed.
Please note, we are not a scuba diving training facility. Diving is a serious sport that contains risks. It can be a lot of fun, but it can also kill you. Scuba diving places human beings in an environment they are not adapted to. Proper training and equipment are necessities to dive. Our discussions are meant to share diving experiences. None of our discussions should be considered scuba diver training. Our discussions will not qualify anyone to try anything we have discussed. You must be certified to dive and experienced. If you are, have fun. If you are not, get certified before you dive and then dive with a buddy. A lot. Experience everything you learn and do not rush your training. Do not dive outside your comfort zone or limits of your training or try anything we talk about. The opinions presented here are those of the hosts and guests. They are not necessarily those of any sponsor or advertiser.
So let's secure the hatch, begin equalizing, pressurize the chamber, and have some fun.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Deco Chamber. Today here we're in California. Now one thing I really loved is there was a lot of topside things to do that you could take your family to see. Here we have tidal pools with sea anemones, fish, and other amazing things, even kelp, that you could show your kids and teach them all about the wildlife. There are many other types of creatures that live in the tide pools as well, like this tide pool sculpin. This flat-clawed porcelain crab looks large until you put it into perspective. Another very cool thing that you could do with your kids is go fossil hunting.
Jude and I had a good time looking for fossils, so got a really good time.
Here comes my boat. Time for me to get my gear together and get on board. As I wave goodbye to my family, I soon realize, hey, this is nothing like Florida diving. The sky is cloudy and gray, a little bit misty, windy, and everybody has jackets on and sweaters. But that's okay. Diving is just like any other activity. We have appropriate clothes for the right climate. Today we'll be diving with our dry suits. The air temperature today is a high of 64 degrees Fahrenheit and the water temperature will be 54 degrees. Once I've jumped into the water, I quickly see all the wonderful creatures and soft corals and hard corals that live in these colder waters. It is absolutely beautiful. I quickly notice all the different types of starfish and various colors that live on these beautiful reef systems. One thing that I did quickly notice is that there were very few fish in the water. I think out of both dives I might have seen a dozen fish. Here we have a flag rockfish. He's about 14 inches long. This orange soft coral is called the solitary orange cup coral. Very beautiful and eye-catching. Here we have some anemones dancing in the current. This fish here is called a kelp greenling. This lingcod is about 2.5 feet long. Very beautiful specimen. The name of this jellyfish is called the Atlantic sea nettle. This jellyfish is about 3 feet long. This sun starfish is absolutely huge. It's about 2.5 feet in diameter. These large white sea anemones look like huge stalks of cauliflower. They're about a foot in length. As I continue to swim, I'll come across this huge garden of these large white sea anemones. As I look more closely, I notice that there's a large lungcod hiding among these sea anemones. Well, I've about reached my no decompression limit, and it's about time for me to head back up to the boat. I would like to thank all of you for joining us on this great adventure, and we look forward to seeing you on our next deep sea dive.
This episode is brought to you by the following sponsors. The law offices of Eric J. Durga for all your legal needs at ejdirga.com. Northwind Training for the best in personal enrichment training, northwindtraining.com. Wise Move Home Inspection. For all your South Florida home inspection needs, we've got you covered, wisemovehomeinspection.com. And Tim's Undersea Adventures, where you learn to scuba dive and your adventure begins, timsunderseaadventures.com. Decompression schedule complete. It's time to gear up and splash. See you in the water. Until next time, this has been the Deco Chamber. Cheer up with us on Blogspot, Facebook, and Twitter.